Today, I watched a video by a certain Nigerian individual, and he said that the reason why there is war in Russia and Ukraine is because the NATO countries, the Western allies, violated an agreement that they had with Russia. Now, this is blatantly false. It is not true. And it's important that I set the record straight because if not, it's going to affect the perspective of Nigerians. And this is precisely what we have said that CNN and the Western media have been doing. Now, we cannot replace one set of propaganda with another set of propaganda. What we just need is the truth. We need proper agenda, not propaganda. So, what is the truth? The truth is that during the Second World War, from the 4th of February 1945 to the 11th of February 1945, there was a conference at a place called Yalta, which incidentally is in today's Ukraine, just outside of Crimea, where Winston Churchill, the British Prime Minister, and then no, not Franklin Roosevelt, but President Harry S. Truman. Franklin Roosevelt died, and Harry S. Truman, his vice, became president, as well as the Soviet leader Joseph Stalin met, and then they agreed that the countries which are now, will I say, which later became in the Warsaw Pact, that is, they were controlled by Russia, that those countries would be allowed to have democratic elections to determine their own future. That was the Yalta Pact that they had. So those countries, Poland, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Czechoslovakia, those kinds of countries, that they would be allowed to have democratic elections and choose their own fate. But Stalin violated that agreement, later invaded these countries and then forcefully communized them. So to say that NATO violated an agreement, that is, I mean, it's either ignorant or dishonest. I mean, don't take my word for it. Racists have said that if you want to hide anything from the black man, you put it in writing. Let's prove them wrong. Go and research the Yalta Agreement and go and research whether or not Stalin broke those agreements. So yes, I do agree that this war, we shouldn't see it from an American perspective or from a Russian perspective. Nigeria should remain neutral until we can identify our interests, and then when we identify our interests, we should speak based on our interests. So, I mean, if you recall, between 16th of February, 16th of October 1962 and 28th of October 1962, Russia, or rather the then USSR, Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, had sent offensive missiles to Cuba, which is 90 miles off the coast of America. And then the then US President, President John F. Kennedy, has said, look, this is unacceptable. We're not going to accept it. But he didn't go to war. He put up a naval blockade and he blocked ships from entering or leaving Cuba. And then he gave a press conference and said that he considered that act, the act of the USSR putting weapons in Cuba, as an act of war, and that they had to take those weapons away. So if you look at now, that's very similar to what is happening right now in Ukraine. But Kennedy didn't go to war. He didn't attack Cuba. He didn't attack any other Soviet-linked country. No, he took a route where he did a blockade. So there are things that Russia could have done. I mean, there are things, rather than just invade, there are things that they could have done. They could have behaved like President Kennedy and said, okay, we feel attacked by Ukraine joining NATO, and then we want some concessions. Maybe that Ukraine must give an undertaking that they will not act against our interests, they will not attack us, they will, things like that. But to just go to war, because here's the thing, the USSR has collapsed. And then you have several nations, of which Ukraine is one of them. I've been to all these places. Ukraine is one of them, Latvia is another, Estonia is another. I've been there. These countries have been allowed because they broke off after the Soviet Union fell. So they didn't succeed by force. The Soviet Union collapsed because they couldn't sustain their economy. So they broke off. They had democratic elections, and then a lot of them have chosen to join NATO. Countries like Poland. Poland wasn't in the Soviet Union, but Estonia, Latvia. Those countries they've chosen to look towards NATO. Now, if Ukraine wants to do the same thing, as long as America is not influencing them, as long as another nation is not influencing them, then they should be allowed to do what they want to do. Because we have to realize that the reason why we have wars is when one nation tries to influence the policy of another nation. If we have a situation whereby each nation is allowed to freely decide what they want to do, there will not be any wars. I'm going to give you a very good example. In Nigeria, from May 1967 to January 1970, we had a civil war. Now, during the civil war, what happened? Both America and Russia were supplying weapons to all of us, both sides, so that we could kill each other. So 2 to 3 million people died. These people didn't care and say, okay, well, now we are going to now start holding prey for Nigeria, or we are going to start having no, 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 no. So we should know where we stand. Right now, there's a conflict in Ethiopia, in the Tigray region of Ethiopia. 150,000 people have died. How many people have died in the Ukraine Russia-Ukraine war? Not up to 1% of that. 150,000 people have died. Dangote has a factory in Ethiopia, in the Oromia region of Ethiopia. I have been there. And that factory was taken over by the rebels, although the government has now taken it back. But we should be more concerned about that. There are more Nigerians in Ethiopia working and earning a living. Dangote has the factory there is worth about $800 million. So we have economic pecuniary interest there. So we should begin to think about our own interest. So we should not begin to elevate what is happening in Russia and Ukraine and say, oh, it's a world war, and then we have to take sides. Either we take the side of Russia or we take the side of America. No. I've been a resident of America since the age of 9, but I am, exposed enough to know that I am a Nigerian first. And then America, as it is, so for people to start, putting down America and saying America is this and that. Look, America, as far as I'm concerned, is the greatest nation in the whole world. Why? Because anybody can be anything. We saw that the son of a Kenyan immigrant rose to become president of America. Having said that, America should not be more important than Nigeria. What is the population of Russia? 155 million people. Nigeria has a population of 210 million people. Why should Russia be more important than Nigeria? That we have to take sides? Why? So let's begin to think as an independent nation. Let's not be led by the nose by propaganda, and let's become neutral until we can figure out our own best national interest. My name is RENO, and I thank you for watching. And I say a prayer right now for Nigerians that are stranded in Ukraine and in neighboring countries. I'm currently here, and I've been putting, my money and my time walking my talk. So I'm not just somewhere, poking my nose. No, I came here and I'm helping people literally to get out of here. But having said that, we still need to look after our own national self-interest. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.